Well, speaking of coming for every last penny, man, what a great segue into today's piece. So good, Josh, bring us into today's piece. What is the probability of a blow up? All right, gentlemen. So this is it. I mean, a lot of
Did you
traders have
say
been there.
bro up? I can't see the slides. Or blow up.
I said glow up. What is the probability of a glow up?
Glow up. Oh,
so we're going to talk about glow ups. Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
So most traders have been here. I've been here myself. A lot of traders have gone through this journey. It's almost like a rite of passage, like, where you actually, you light the whole portfolio on fire.
Yes.
So what is the probability that this actually happens, though? Can we actually put some numbers around this to where it's not just vibes and emotions? It's actually like hard stats around, all right, I want to trade, I want to do this, but obviously I want to know what I'm getting myself into. Well, that's what I want to do here this morning. And so let's do it. You guys ready to go?
Hell yeah.
Oh.
Man, let's go. Okay. So as active premium sellers, we're always taking a high probability approach with constructing our portfolios, but there is still always the chance that we hit a cold streak and have to absorb a long string of losing trades. So what are the odds the unthinkable happens and a short premium portfolio actually blows up? Now, let's make sure and set the foundation. Gentlemen, what is the number one thing that is going to lead to 105% of accounts blowing up?
Size.
That's it. It's every single time. It's every single time, right? Every single time it's oversized, it's overconfident, it's letting the ego kind of take the wheel. Like, it's the same thing, right? And so many of us have been there. I've been there myself. And so, if you're actually adhering to the things we talk about, the probabilities that these things happen, as we're going to look at here today, are extremely low. But generally speaking, it's when we go off the reservation, right? It's when we go way outside the boundary lines. Like, that's where some nasty things can really start happening, to each and every one of us. And so I wanted to make sure we set that foundation first. And we're going to see size kind of come back into the picture here in just a minute. But go ahead and hit us on the next slide there, Josh. So, of course, this is going to be the trusty risk of ruin discussion, right? So if I want to know what is the probability that I blow up, if I actually want to put numbers around it, this is a risk of ruin calculation. This is a probabilistic kind of mathematical transformation of what are the odds that my account goes from wherever it is, 20,000, 30,000, 80,000, whatever, down to actually zero. Like, what is the actual number behind that? Well, that's going to be a risk of ruin calculation, where essentially what you do is you start with your edge. And once you have your edge, you can just follow. It's a fairly simple formula. It's just 1 minus your edge over 1 plus your edge, and then raise it to the youth power, where the youth power is the number of units before ruin. So it's essentially your position size. So when you think about your position sizing, that's going to be the U in this equation. And then, of course, you have your probability of winning, your probability of losing, how much you make when you win and how much you make when you lose, which, for what we do every single day, I mean, this is a fairly straightforward calculation that, we can oftentimes, obtain these numbers, especially when it comes to defined risk strategies. Okay, so let's lay out some probabilities around defined risk. Okay, so let's consider a standard vertical spread with the following metrics. My probability of profit is 70%, so very standard. The amount that I win when I win is $1. The amount that I lose when I lose is $2. So this would be like a standard $3 wide vertical. So pretty tight vertical. Oftentimes we go wider than this, but just to make it really simple in terms of the illustration. And then my probability of loss is going to be 30%. Well, in this case, my edge is 10 cents. So my edge is 5%. Now, I want to pause right there. Some people might be wondering, Jim, how did you come up with this edge? Because when I run my vertical spreads, it ends up being net zero in the end. Well, I went ahead and I baked in a little bit of a kicker from the implied volatility overstatement. And so the actual option pricing here is priced off of a 67% pop. But because of implied volatility overstatement, the thing that the Tasty Research has shown for many, many, many years now, I went ahead and priced in an actual 70% pop. So the pricing is based off of 67%, but the actual pop is 70%. Now, we could argue whether or not that's too high, it's too low, whatever. I felt like it was fairly realistic, and it could make the illustration kind of come to life in terms of the probabilities around a risk of ruin. There's no question that the differential between actual probabilities and expected probabilities is much better on the undefined risk side than it is on the defined side. And so I didn't want to make it anything super crazy like a 5% differential or 10% differential, because that's not realistic in my opinion. But here, let's say that I'm doing 5% per trade. And so my U in this case would be 20, right? I can afford 20 units of loss before I go down to zero. The risk of ruin, if you actually run those numbers, is 13%. 13%. What do you guys think about that number? Does it seem right? Does it seem too high, or does it seem too low?
That seems too high to me.
Yeah, it seems a little high to me too. Sure.
I totally agree. That number seems a little inflated. Like, I ran that number a few times. I'm like, that seems a little bit high. That seems like it's overestimated a little bit. And so I was like, okay. But then I ran the numbers again, but now I used 2% per trade. So now I'm even more diligent with my position sizing. Look what happens now. Now that I have 50 units of ruin potentially, my risk of ruin drops down to less than 1%. So there's a less than 1% chance that I run into a situation where I'm going to take the account all the way down to zero. Okay, so now we have undefined risk strategies, but no predetermined maximum loss. This is obviously going to be a lot different. We can't really apply that equation in its current form because there is no maximum loss point. That's literally the definition of an undefined risk position. So what do we do? Well, this is where I think taking the buying power effect that a brokerage might set aside. I know Tasty Trade certainly does this.
Yeah.
That buying power effect that's set aside, that is essentially set up as right around that 95%, kind of confidence interval, like that 2 standard deviation move. And so if we think about, okay, a 2 standard deviation move by, the probabilistic definition of that, that's only a 5% outcome. So if I did a strangle and it's on both sides of the market, that's a 5% outcome. And so if I think about what's the probability that I get one 5%, outcome that actually hits me, it's obviously 5%. What's the probability that I hit 2 in a row? Like, back to back. Well, that's obviously only going to be 0.25%. So now the probability that these two things happen simultaneously or back to back is incredibly, incredibly low. And then if you start moving out to a 3 standard deviation, again, using 5% of my buying power per trade, now you can see it's astronomically low. So now the chances I hit 1 is only 1%. The chances I hit 2 is, it's 1/10, or I'm sorry, 1/100th of 1%. And so this is very, very, very low when it comes to, the risk of ruin with undefined risk. Now, the defined risk numbers felt a little bit high. I don't know what you guys think, but these numbers actually feel a little bit low.